And that you just heard was Gino Auriemma, the women's basketball coach at UConn, talking with Dan Patrick on the Dan Patrick Show about Dan Hurley, the UConn men's basketball coach.
Stay with us.
Who is reportedly the target of the Lakers to be their next head basketball coach. And if you listen to Adrian Wojnarowski of ESPN, they're willing to break the bank for Dan Hurley. Big money. I'm done with the and by the way, this news broke yesterday. So for me to be done with part of the narrative already, you know how, like, what I do for a living is consume sports. So you know there was a lot of it. I'm done with the narrative that somehow this, if he takes the Lakers job, is an indictment on college sports or on college basketball or an indictment on how the entire college game is changed. Oh, every coach is running away from transfer portals and NIL, and oh no, I'm done with that. Here's why. First of all, it's not true. Did Billy Donovan, after he won 2 titles with Florida and then went to the NBA, was he running away from the transfer portal and NIL that didn't exist at the time? When Brad Stevens ran away from Butler, where he had taken them to Final Fours and developed Gordon Hayward and went to the NBA, was he running away from the portal and NIL, which didn't exist at that point in time? We can go back further. Rick Pitino, John Calipari. We can go back further. Larry Brown, 1988. Which, by the way, Carolina basketball fans out there, meaning UNC basketball fans, if Larry Brown didn't do exactly what Dan Hurley might be doing, if he didn't win a national championship in 1988 at Kansas and immediately jump to the NBA, guess who North Carolina might not have? Roy Williams. Because guess who replaced Larry Brown at Kansas? Roy Williams. It's been happening forever. Do you know why? Because recruiting is annoying, right? If you're a fully grown, like, adult professional that has worked very hard to get to where you've gotten in your career, it's probably not super fun to cater to 16-year-olds, to pretend like you like their music, to pretend like when you're in their living rooms and an at-home visit that their parents cook well. Oh, your mama knows how to cook, right? That's the down-home charm of guys like Roy Williams. Guess what? Every parent probably doesn't cook well. You probably had to eat some burnt food and pretend. And if you jump to the NBA, you don't have to deal with that. If you jump to the NBA, you're on charter flights and you're eating at 5-star restaurants. They're meeting today, meaning Dan Hurley and the Lakers are meeting today reportedly to talk about the job. Let's hear from Dan Hurley back on about a couple months ago on what he would consider leaving UConn. Would he consider leaving UConn for a better job?
If I had any interest in leaving here, whatsoever, I would probably just not be doing any media, because I know you're going to ask that question.
Right.
If I had an interest in any other job, I'd be hiding right now. And I'm going to be here. I love being here. I've got the job that fits me, the absolute best. UConn, Dave Benedict, the AD in the school, they're going to reward us. And then, I think they're going to continue to provide us with the resources, to keep going for these things here. So I'm going to be going for these things here.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
The funny part is he's like, I wouldn't be doing media. Guess what he hasn't done since the Lakers
Right.
rumor started?
Media.
Hasn't done any media. So maybe there's some hiding going on there. But I look at this a few different ways. It's a promotion. Most people would take if offered a promotion. If somebody approaches you and says, hey, I can offer you a bunch more money. According to Spotrac is a website that tracks all of the contracts. You can go look at your favorite NFL, NBA, NHL team. All the contracts are there, the terms, who has a no-trade clause, how much is guaranteed, how much is not. Spotrac put out a tweet on a couple of notes about Danny Hurley. He signed a 6-year, $32.1 million extension with UConn last summer. A lot of money. He must pay $1.875 million in a fee to UConn to leave for an NBA job. That's a lot of money. He was reportedly offered $10 to $12 million per year from Kentucky that he turned down. That's a 2 times pay raise. Top NBA head coaches reportedly earn between $14 and $17 million per year. And if the Lakers report from Adrian Wojnarowski is they are willing to pay top dollar, you'd expect that, 14 to 17 the range, not to be 14, right? So you're looking at 15, 16, 17 million dollars. This has nothing to do with college basketball. We, meaning me and my family, live right in the middle of what I consider the mecca of college basketball, right? It is right in the triangle. There's Duke, Carolina, there's State, there's Wake Forest not far away. You guys know the state we live in. Like, we are aware, we see college basketball up close and personal. There is nothing that makes me think a coach leaving for big money is the sign of the end of times or any sport as we know it. If you go watch a college basketball game, right? Let's say there's a sweet Tuesday non-conference game and you just go watch, you wouldn't know that the players are getting paid NIL money. Right? Why does it affect you at all if the shooting guard gets to live off campus in a 2-bedroom apartment because he had $100,000 in NIL rather than living in the dorms? Why does that matter to you at all? Coaches have to make calls. Coaches always had to make calls. They used to fundraise to raise money in order to build bigger locker rooms and put better LED lights under the locker rooms and have better players' lounges. Clemson football has a wiffle ball field and a slide in their locker room. Coaches have always had reasons to ask for money. Now they're just asking for money to go to players. Why would you think that's more or less work? They're still calling the same rich people and asking for the same big checks. And guess what? If they leave, it's the same reason. That's what I would do if I were Dan Hurley. If I left for UConn, if I left for the Lakers, the first thing I would do is say, and oh, by the way, it's a big pay raise for me. I'm giving $1 million a year to UConn's NIL collective. How's UConn going to be mad at him for leaving then?
They wouldn't.
And he would still be clearing about 3 times as much money as he has in the past.
Yeah.
Right? I'm making $5 million now. I'm going to go make $16 or $17 million from the Lakers. I'm going to take $1 million of that, give it back to UConn's NIL collective. You'll win more championships. I'll take the credit there. Hopefully we win some more championships with the Lakers. I'll take the credit there. I'm going to be the first guy to win championships in college and pro at the same time.
He'll have a plaque at UConn.
Of course, he should already. He won 2 back-to-back national championships.
He should.
The more interesting part I look at it is the ripple effects, and they could hit here in Carolina as well. Coaching trickle down. I don't know if UConn can reach out and take any coach they want because they don't have a football team in a Power 5 conference, and who knows what their financial future looks like. But they have won like 5 national championships in the last 20 years or whatever it is. So maybe they take a coach, and then that place needs to take a coach, and that place needs to take a coach, and maybe someone grabs a Duke or a UNC assistant. Maybe somebody like Kevin Keats, fresh off a Final Four run at NC State, is looking kind of good to maybe not UConn, but whoever UConn poaches their coach from. The players hitting the portal. This is why the portal is crazy. If UConn loses their coach, June whatever, for 30 days, UConn players can go in the portal. No one else in the country can go in the portal unless their coach left. Right? The portal window is closed, but you get a 30-day window right after your coach leaves. If I'm UNC, and I'm like, you know what? We wanted to get a big man in this portal cycle, but we'd missed out. Heck, maybe the number 1 team in the preseason just has everyone available. Let's go get one of their big guys. I'd be very interested in that. Other schools should be waiting on UConn to take their kind of plan in motion, right? You need to plan for everything. We do it. We just the other day here in our studio, in our station, we had a meeting and we did, all right, major coach leaves today at 9. What do we do? And it was, we get this podcast out. We run to the studio. These 2 people get here. We need content on social media. Like, we do it. Coaches or schools should do it as well. UConn, if Dan Hurley leaves, go. All right, we call this guy. We call this coach. This is the next coach. We get this recruiting guy to get our players back.
Yeah, Carolina Hurricanes listen to that too.
Now, GM left. GM. What do we do now?
What do we do?
Who do we call? Who's next? But if I'm UNC, if I'm Duke, if I'm Wake, if I'm any of these schools, I'm looking around going, all right, well, let's have a plan in place. Dan Hurley leaves, so-and-so hits the portal. Do we want him? Dan Hurley leaves, so-and-so hits the portal. Who do we reach out to? How do we contact him? What's our pitch? What's our role for him? Can't be over-prepared. It's impossible. You can overthink it. I want to be clear on that. Can't be over-prepared.